My beloved child, meet me by the quiet river tonight. Not in the noise, not in the rush, not in the place where everyone expects you to smile and pretend you are okay. Come away with me for a moment. Leave the weight of the day behind you. Leave the conversations that drained your spirit. Leave the worries that followed you from morning until night. Leave the fear that has been sitting heavy on your chest. Tonight, I am not asking you to be strong. Tonight, I am not asking you to explain everything. Tonight, I am not asking you to have all the answers. I am only asking you to come close. Come sit with me beside the quiet river. Let the sound of the water remind you that life is still moving. Let the soft wind remind you that my presence is still near. Let the golden light over the water remind you that even after a long and painful day, peace can still find you. My child, I saw how hard today was for you. I saw the moment you almost broke, but held yourself together because someone needed you. I saw the tears you swallowed. I saw the words you wanted to say, but kept inside because you did not want to create more pain. I saw you smile when your heart was tired. I saw you keep going when everything inside you wanted to stop. And I want you to know something before this night ends. You do not have to carry this alone anymore. Bring it to me. Bring me the fear. Bring me the disappointment. Bring me the questions you are afraid to ask. Bring me the sadness you cannot explain. Bring me the tiredness in your body and the heaviness in your soul. Lay every burden in my hands, not some of them. Not only the ones that seem spiritual enough, not only the ones you think I will understand. Bring me all of it, the bills you do not know how to pay. The relationship that feels different now, the loneliness you hide from others, the dream that feels too far away, the guilt from what you should have done differently, the shame from what you still cannot forgive yourself for, the fear that maybe things will never change. My beloved child, I already know what you are carrying. You do not have to make your pain sound beautiful before bringing it to me. You do not have to pray perfect words. You do not have to pretend your faith is stronger than it feels right now. Come as you are. Come tired, come confused, come disappointed, come afraid, come with tears in your eyes if you must. I am not waiting by this river to judge you. I am waiting here to hold you. Listen to the water. It does not fight the stones in its path. It flows around them. It keeps moving. It does not become bitter because the riverbed is uneven. It does not stop because the path is not straight. My child, this is what I am teaching you. You have been trying to force your way through things that I never asked you to force. You have been carrying weight that I never placed in your hands. You have been blaming yourself for storms you did not create. You have been punishing yourself for not being able to control what was never yours to control. Tonight, let the river teach you how to release. Release the need to fix everything immediately. Release the pressure to be everything for everyone. Release the fear that if you rest, everything will fall apart. Release the lie that your worth depends on how much you can endure without asking for help. My child, you are allowed to rest. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to be held. You are allowed to admit that you are tired. I know you have been strong for so long, but strength was never meant to become a prison. You were never meant to hide your wounds behind a brave face forever. There is a place in my presence where you do not have to perform. There is a place in my love where you do not have to explain why you are hurting. There is a place beside this quiet river where your soul can finally stop running. Come here, sit beside me. Let me speak to the part of you that no one else sees. You have been wondering why the season has been so heavy. You have asked why one thing after another keeps happening. You have wondered why the doors seem slow to open. You have wondered why people you loved could not understand your heart. You have wondered why your prayers sometimes feel like they are rising into silence. My child, silence does not mean I am absent. Delay does not mean I have forgotten. A closed door does not mean your story is over. A painful chapter does not mean your life has lost its purpose. I have been with you in ways you did not recognize. I was there when you cried and wiped your own tears. I was there when you sat alone and asked yourself how much more you could take. I was there when you almost gave up. But something inside you whispered, "Keep going." That whisper was not weakness. That whisper was grace. That whisper was me reminding you that your story is not finished. Tonight, I am bringing you back to peace. Not the kind of peace that depends on everything being perfect. Not the kind of peace that waits until all problems disappear. I am giving you a deeper peace. A peace that can sit beside unanswered questions. A peace that can breathe even while waiting. A peace that can sleep even before the miracle arrives. A peace that says, I do not know how everything will work out, but I know I am not alone. My beloved child, look at the river again. Do you see how the light touches the water? The river does not create the light. It simply receives it. That is what I am asking of you now. Stop trying to create peace by controlling every outcome. Receive my peace. Stop trying to earn my love by proving you can handle everything. Receive my love. Stop trying to deserve my help by becoming perfect first. Receive my help. I am not here because you performed well today. I am here because you are mine. And because you are mine, I will not abandon you in the dark. You may feel weak, but you are not forgotten. You may feel lost, but you are not beyond my reach. You may feel tired, but I am not tired of you. You may feel like you have failed, but I am not finished with you. There are things I am healing in you that you cannot see yet. There are wounds I am touching gently because they have been open for too long. There are fears I am removing little by little because they have lived inside you for years. There are places in your heart that learn to expect disappointment, and I am teaching them to hope again. Do not rush this healing. Healing is not always loud. Sometimes healing sounds like a quiet river at night. Sometimes healing feels like finally breathing after holding your breath for too long. Sometimes healing begins when you stop saying, I am fine, and finally whisper, Lord, I am tired. And when you whisper that to me, I do not turn away. I come closer, my child, tonight. I want you to give me the burden of tomorrow. You have carried tomorrow too many times before it arrived. You have lived through problems in your mind that never happened. You have fought imaginary battles while your body was simply trying to rest. You have rehearsed fear until your heart believed it was already defeated. But tomorrow belongs to me. The next phone call belongs to me. The next bill belongs to me. The next decision belongs to me. The next conversation belongs to me. The next door belongs to me. Your future is not outside my hands, so place it here. Place tomorrow in my hands tonight. Let your soul be still. You do not need to solve your whole life before you sleep. You do not need to understand the whole road before taking the next step. You do not need to see the harvest before trusting the seed. I am already in the days you have not reached yet. I am already preparing strength for the moment you think you will not survive. I am already arranging help you do not know how to ask for. I am already softening hearts you thought would never change. I am already opening paths through places that look impossible. You are not walking into the unknown alone. You are walking into a future where I am already present, so rest. My child, rest beside the river. Rest in my presence. Rest in the truth that you are loved. You have carried enough for today. Now let me carry you. Number, stay a little longer beside the water. Do not rise yet. The night is still gentle, and there is more I want to say to you before you return to the noise of your life. You have spent so long believing that stillness is wasted time, that every quiet moment should be filled with something productive, something useful, something that proves you are not falling behind. But look at this river. It has done nothing tonight except flow, and yet it has carved valleys, carried life to everything along its banks, and reflected the stars without ever trying. Stillness is not the absence of purpose. Sometimes stillness is the very shape purpose takes when a soul finally stops fighting itself. Stay a little longer. Let your breathing slow. Let your shoulders drop from where they have been living, somewhere near your ears, for longer than you realized. I am not in a hurry with you tonight, and I am not asking you to be in a hurry either. Number. Now let me speak to your body, which has carried more than it should have had to carry alone. I know the tension you hold without noticing until it becomes pain. I know the headaches that come from clenching your jaw through days you did not want to face. I know the exhaustion that sleep does not seem to fix anymore, because it is not only your body that is tired, it is something deeper. Your body has been faithful to you, even when you have not been kind to it. It has kept moving through grief, through fear, through seasons when your mind wanted to give up and your body simply kept going because it did not know how to stop. Thank your body tonight, even quietly, even just in your own heart. It has carried you further than you give it credit for, and know that I care about this vessel you live in. I am not only interested in your soul while ignoring the body that soul lives inside. Rest your body tonight. Let it exhale. Number. Now let me speak to the ache of feeling unseen. There is a particular loneliness that comes not from being physically alone, but from being surrounded by people and still feeling invisible. You have sat in rooms full of conversation and felt like no one was actually looking at you. You have answered, "I am fine," so many times that the words have started to feel like a wall you built without meaning to. You wonder sometimes if anyone would notice the specific shape of your absence if you simply stopped showing up the way you always do. My child, I notice not in the abstract way of a God who watches billions of lives from a distance, but in the particular way of someone who knows the sound of your voice when you are pretending, and the sound of your voice when you are not. You are not invisible to me. You have never been invisible to me. Even in the rooms where you felt unseen by everyone else, I was seeing you completely. Number. Now let me speak to the fear that keeps you awake after everyone else has gone quiet. There is an hour, late at night, when the distractions of the day have finally fallen away and the real fears rise to the surface. In that hour, you have wondered about your health, about your finances, about whether the people you love are safe, about whether you are doing enough, being enough, becoming enough. The darkness of that hour can make small worries feel enormous, and enormous worries feel unbearable. My child, I am present in that hour too. I do not sleep when you cannot sleep. I am not waiting for morning to become available to you. If you wake in that hour tonight, or any night, you do not have to face it by rehearsing every fear alone. You can simply say my name, even without elaborate words, and know that you are not speaking into an empty room. The hour will pass. Morning does come, and I am present in the waiting between now and then. Number. Now let me speak about the people who left, And the ache that remains there are people who once sat beside you at this river, in one way or another, who are no longer here. Some left through death, and the grief of that absence does not fully heal. It only becomes a shape you learn to carry differently over time. Some left through distance, through disagreement, through simply growing into different people who no longer fit together the way they once did. Some left in ways that still confuse you, without explanation, without closure, leaving you to wonder what you could have done differently. My child, I do not ask you to pretend these absences do not hurt. I do not ask you to rush your grief into a tidy resolution simply because time has passed. I sit with you in the specific ache of each person who is missing from your life. I know their names, even the ones you have stopped saying out loud because it hurts too much. Grief is not a failure to move on. Grief is love with nowhere left to go, and I receive that love even now on their behalf and on yours. Number. Now, let me speak to the dreams you have quietly buried. There was a version of your life you once imagined, full of certain hopes, certain plans, certain futures that felt so vivid you could almost touch them. Some of those dreams did not happen. Life moved differently than you expected, and somewhere along the way, you stopped speaking about them. Maybe even stopped believing they were ever really possible. You have told yourself it is fine, that you have made peace with it, and maybe in some ways you have. But there is still a quiet ache when you think about the paths not taken. My child, I do not want you to carry false guilt over dreams that changed shape. Some dreams were meant only for a season, teaching you something before making way for a different purpose. But I also want you to know that it is not too late to dream again. Even now, even here. New hopes are not a betrayal of the old ones. They are simply the next chapter of a story that has not finished being written. Number. Now let me speak to your relationships and the distance that has grown in places you did not expect. There is someone close to you who feels farther away than they used to be. Maybe it is a spouse, a partner, whose presence beside you at night no longer feels like closeness the way it once did. Maybe it is a parent or a child, someone bound to you by blood, and yet somehow bound also by a silence. Neither of you knows how to break. Maybe it is a friend who used to know your heart completely, and now you find yourselves exchanging only surface conversation, both aware that something has shifted, neither one saying it out loud. My child, distance in relationships is rarely caused by a single dramatic event. More often, it grows quietly, day by day, through small avoidances that accumulate into a wall neither person intended to build. I am not asking you to fix everything tonight. I am asking you to bring the specific ache of this particular distance to me honestly, without minimizing it and without exaggerating it. Where reconciliation is possible, I will give you courage for the first small step. Where reconciliation is not possible right now, I will give you peace to carry the loss without bitterness. Number. Now let me speak to the parts of yourself you are still learning to accept. There are things about yourself you have criticized for years. The way you respond under pressure, the habits you cannot seem to fully change, the parts of your personality that others have made you feel ashamed of. You have spent so much energy trying to become a version of yourself that would finally be acceptable, finally be enough, finally stop drawing criticism from the people around you or from the voice inside your own head. My child, some of what you are trying to change may genuinely need growth, and I will walk with you through that growth patiently. But some of what you criticize in yourself is simply the shape I made you in. A shape that does not need to be apologized for. Sensitivity is not weakness. Feeling deeply is not a flaw. Needing more time than others to process change is not a failure. Learn to tell the difference between what actually needs to change and what simply needs to be accepted as part of how I made you. Number. Now let me speak to the shame you carry from your past. There is something in your history you wish had never happened, a choice you made, a season you are not proud of, words you said that you cannot take back, or things done to you that left marks you did not choose. You have carried this quietly, sometimes for years, letting it define how you see yourself, even in seasons that have nothing directly to do with it. My child, your past does not have a veto over your present. What happened does not get the final say in who you are becoming. If you caused harm, I invite you toward honest repair where it is possible, and toward receiving forgiveness even when full repair is not possible. If harm was done to you, I do not ask you to minimize it or rush your healing on someone else's timeline. I sit with you in the actual weight of what happened for as long as healing takes. Either way, shame was never meant to be a permanent residence. It was meant to be a visitor that eventually leaves once its lesson, if there was one, has been learned. Number. Now let me speak to the anxious thoughts that circle without resolution your mind has been racing lately, moving from one worry to the next without ever landing anywhere long enough to find peace. What if the money runs out? What if the diagnosis is worse than expected? What if the relationship does not survive this season? What if you are making the wrong choice? What if? My child, anxious thoughts are not a sign that your faith has failed. They are a sign that you are human, living in a world that genuinely contains uncertainty. I do not ask you to silence every worried thought through sheer willpower. I ask you to bring each one to me as it arises, one at a time, rather than trying to solve an entire imagined future in a single sitting. Some of what you fear will happen. Much of what you fear will not. And whatever comes, I am already present in it, which means you are never facing any version of that future entirely alone. Number. Now let me speak to the work of your hands, and whether it matters you wonder sometimes if what you do each day actually means anything. The tasks blur together. The effort feels unseen. You question whether your work is building toward something or simply filling time until the day ends. My child, meaning is not always found in recognition. Much of the most important work in any life is invisible to everyone except the person doing it. And to me, the patience you practice today, even when no one noticed, the integrity you kept, even when cutting corners would have been easier, the care you gave, even to tasks that felt small and unglamorous. None of that was wasted. I do not measure your work by its visibility. I measure it by the faithfulness with which it was done. And I have seen every bit of that faithfulness, even the parts no one else witnessed. Number. Now let me speak to the seasons that feel like waiting rooms. You feel like you are in between right now. Between one chapter and the next, between the life you had and the life you are hoping for, between a prayer you prayed and an answer you have not yet received. Waiting rooms are uncomfortable. They are not designed to be lived in permanently, and yet you have been sitting in this one longer than you expected. My child, I am present in waiting rooms. I do not only meet you on the other side of the waiting. At the moment the answer finally arrives, I am here now, in the uncomfortable middle, in the not yet. Waiting is not the same as being forgotten. Some of the most important growth in a life happens precisely in the waiting room, in the quiet, unglamorous space between what was and what is coming. Let this season shape you rather than only frustrate you. I am not wasting this time, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Number. Now let me speak to the fear that you are behind in life. You measure yourself against a timeline you did not choose. A quiet expectation of where you should be by now, in your career, your family, your finances, your sense of who you are. When you fall short of that timeline, a familiar voice tells you that you have wasted time, that you started too late, that everyone else figured it out sooner and more easily than you have. My child, I did not give you someone else's timeline. I gave you yours, shaped by your particular story, your particular wounds, your particular detours that were not wasted, even though they did not look like progress at the time. The years that felt like delay were not empty. They were forming something in you. Quietly, the way roots form before anything visible appears above the ground. You are not behind. You are exactly where your story has led you, and I am not finished writing it. Number. Now let me speak to you about the masks you wear without meaning to you have learned. Over the years, which version of yourself is acceptable, in which room calm at work, even when you are unraveling inside, cheerful with extended family, even when you are exhausted, composed with friends, even when you desperately want someone to ask if you are really okay. These masks were not dishonest, not exactly. They were often survival, a way of getting through days that did not have room for your full truth. But masks worn long enough begin to feel like your actual face, and you may have started to wonder which version of you is the real one anymore. My child, here beside this river, you do not need any of those masks. I already know what is underneath each one, and none of it disqualifies you from my love. You can practice, even here, even just internally, letting your face match what is actually happening in your heart. That practice, small as it seems, is part of how healing begins. Number. Now let me speak to the comparison that quietly steals your peace. You look at others and wonder why their burdens seem lighter than yours, why their faith seems steadier, why their lives seem to move forward while yours feels stuck. You do not see what they carry when the lights go out and the audience disappears. You only see the parts they have chosen, consciously or not, to show the world. My child, comparing your whole life, including its hidden rooms, to someone else's curated exterior will always leave you feeling like you are losing a contest that was never fairly designed to begin with. Your path was never meant to be measured against theirs. I am not asking you to keep pace with anyone else's story. I am asking you to be faithful within your own. Number. Now let me speak to the exhaustion of always initiating, always reaching out first. You have noticed, maybe with quiet hurt, that you are usually the one who calls first, who checks in first, who makes the effort to keep certain relationships alive. You wonder what would happen if you simply stopped reaching out. Whether anyone would notice, whether anyone would come looking for you the way you have always gone looking for them. My child, this particular ache, the fear of being more invested in people than they are in you, is one of the quieter griefs a heart can carry. I do not have a simple formula that makes every relationship reciprocal overnight. But I do want you to know that your worth is not measured by how many people choose to reach for you first. I reach for you first, every single day, whether or not you feel it in the moment. You are never the one being overlooked in my eyes, even in the seasons when you feel overlooked by everyone else. Number. Now let me speak to your finances. Gently, without shame, there is a specific kind of quiet dread that comes from checking a bank account, from opening a bill, from doing math late at night that never quite balances the way you need it to. You have made choices you regret, and choices that were simply necessary given what you had at the time. And it can be hard now to tell the two apart. My child, I am not distant from your financial fear. I do not measure your worth by numbers in an account, and I am not disappointed in you for struggling with something that so many people struggle with in silence. Bring me the specific fear behind the numbers. The fear of not providing enough, the fear of what others will think, the fear of what happens if things do not improve. I do not promise a specific outcome by a specific date. I promise my presence in the stretching, in the careful decisions, in the moments when you must simply do the next right thing without seeing the whole path. Number, now let me speak to the parts of your faith that feel uncertain. There was a time when believing felt easier, when the answers felt clearer, when you were more certain of things you now hold more loosely. Life has complicated some of what once seemed simple. You have watched suffering that does not make sense. You have prayed prayers that were not answered the way you hoped. You have wondered quietly whether the faith of your earlier years was naive. My child, a faith that has been tested and complicated is not a lesser faith than one that has never been questioned. Often it is a deeper one, tempered by honesty rather than untouched by it. I am not afraid of your uncertainty. I would rather walk with you through honest questions than have you perform a certainty you do not actually feel. Let your faith be allowed to change shape over the years. It does not have to look the same at every age to still be real. Number now. Let me speak to the quiet fear of being a burden. There are people who love you, who have offered to help. And still, you hesitate to ask for what you actually need, afraid of being too much, too needy, too heavy for anyone to carry alongside their own struggles. You have learned to manage on your own, even when managing on your own is slowly wearing you down. My child, needing help is not the same as being a burden. The people who love you were not placed in your life only to receive from you. They were placed there also to give, and your reluctance to ask denies them the chance to love you the way they actually want to. I did not design any life to be lived entirely self-sufficiently. Interdependence is not weakness. It is how the life I designed was always meant to work. Practice asking, even in small ways. Let yourself be helped. You do not have to earn the right to receive care. Number. Now let me speak to the nights when hope feels far away. There are nights when even this quiet river cannot fully reach the ache inside you, when hope feels like a word other people use more easily than you can. You are not failing by feeling this way. Hope is not a switch you can simply turn on through effort or willpower, especially after a long season of disappointment. My child, on the nights when you cannot find hope within yourself, you are welcome to borrow mine. I do not need you to feel hopeful in order for hope to remain true. My faithfulness is not dependent on your ability to feel it in a given moment. Rest tonight even without hope, if that is all you have. I will hold the hope for both of us until you are ready to feel it again. Number. Now let me speak to what it means to begin again tomorrow when the sun rises and this quiet night gives way to ordinary morning. You will return to the noise, the emails, the traffic, the demands, the people who need things from you before you have even had your coffee. You may feel tempted to let this moment by the river fade quickly, filed away as a nice thought, rather than something that changes how you move through your day. My child, you do not have to return to the noise the same way you left it. Carry one thing with you from tonight, whichever truth landed most deeply, that you are not alone, that you are allowed to rest, that your worth does not depend on your performance, that I am present even in silence, that your story is not finished. Let that one truth interrupt your ordinary day tomorrow. Even briefly, even in a single quiet breath, taken in the middle of something stressful. This is how a moment by the river becomes more than a moment. It becomes something carried forward, quietly reshaping the ordinary days that follow it. number. Now let me speak to the quiet fear. Underneath your independence, you have become someone who handles things, who solves problems quickly, who does not wait around for rescue, because somewhere along the way you learned that rescue does not always come. That independence has served you well in many ways. It has also quietly become a kind of loneliness, a habit of facing everything alone, even in moments when you did not have to. My child, I did not ask you to become entirely self-sufficient in order to prove your strength to me. I am not impressed by how little you need from anyone, including me. You are allowed to need things. You are allowed to need people. You are allowed to need rescue sometimes, rather than always being the one who provides it. Let this river remind you that even water, which seems so self-contained, is fed by sources it did not create for itself. Rain, springs, tributaries joining from elsewhere. You were never meant to be a closed system either. Number. Now let me speak to the fear of losing control. You like to know what is coming. You plan, you prepare, you try to anticipate every outcome so that nothing catches you unprepared. And yet, life keeps handing you things you could not have planned for. A diagnosis, a phone call, a sudden change that unravels the careful order you built. In those moments, the loss of control feels almost like a second wound, layered on top of whatever the actual crisis is. Not only is this happening, but you cannot manage it, cannot fix it, cannot arrange it into something predictable. My child, I understand why control feels safe to you, but control was never meant to be the foundation your peace stands on. Control is fragile because life is genuinely uncertain, and no amount of planning can remove all uncertainty from a human life. What I offer instead is not control, but companionship inside the uncertainty. I do not promise you that nothing unexpected will happen. I promise that whatever happens, you will not face it without me. Let your grip loosen a little tonight. Not because nothing matters, but because you were never meant to hold the whole world steady by yourself. Number. Now let me speak to the possibility of beginning again. Somewhere inside you, beneath the tiredness and the disappointment, there is still a small willingness to hope for something new. You may have tried to talk yourself out of it, telling yourself it is safer not to want anything too much. My child, wanting a new beginning is not naive. It is one of the most human things about you, and I placed that capacity in you on purpose. A new beginning does not require you to erase everything that came before. It simply means that the next chapter can look different from the last one, informed by what you have learned, but not imprisoned by it. You do not have to know exactly what the new beginning looks like tonight. You only have to remain open to the possibility that today is not the final page. I am the God of new beginnings, not because I ignore what has already happened, but because nothing that has already happened is powerful enough to stop me from doing something new in you. Number, a longer prayer. Before you finally rise, if you have no other words tonight. Let these be enough, Lord. I am tired in ways I have not said out loud. I bring you my fear about money, about my health, about the people I love. I bring you the loneliness I hide behind a steady face. I bring you the grief for people and dreams I have lost along the way. I bring you my shame, the parts of my past I still flinch to remember. I bring you my doubt, and I ask you not to be offended by my honesty. I bring you my body, tired in ways sleep alone cannot fix. I bring you my relationships, the ones that feel distant and the ones I am afraid to lose. I bring you my need for control, and I ask for the courage to loosen my grip. I bring you tomorrow before it even arrives, because I cannot carry it alone tonight. Thank you for staying. even in the seasons when I could not feel you. Thank you for this quiet water and for the reminder that stillness is not wasted. Help me rise from this place a little lighter than when I arrived. Amen. Number. Now let me speak once more to the whole of who you are, everything spoken tonight. About your fears, your body, your relationships, your past, your doubts rests on one truth that does not shift depending on your circumstances. You are loved completely, not for what you accomplish, not for how well you perform faith, not for how put together you manage to appear to others. You are loved simply because you exist, because I made you, because that has always been who I am toward you, in every season, in every version of yourself you have ever been. Carry that truth back into your ordinary life, not as a slogan, but as a quiet foundation underneath everything else. Number. Now let me speak to the seasons of quiet joy you may have overlooked in the middle of everything heavy we have spoken about tonight. I do not want you to forget that joy has also visited you. Even recently, even in small forms you may have dismissed as too minor to notice. The laugh that surprised you in the middle of a hard week, the meal shared with someone who made you feel at ease, the moment of sunlight through a window that made you pause, just for a second, in something like contentment. My child, noticing joy is not a betrayal of the real pain you carry. Both can be true in the same season, the same day, even the same hour. Do not feel guilty for the moments of lightness that visit you. They are not evidence that your struggles were not real. They are evidence that your life still contains more than struggle. Even now. Number. Now let me speak to the way you talk to yourself. Listen, for a moment, to the voice you use when you make a mistake. Is it patient or is it harsh? Would you speak to a friend the way you speak to yourself in your most private thoughts? My child, many of you carry an inner voice far crueler than anything I have ever spoken over you. You call yourself stupid for errors you would forgive instantly in someone else. You replay your failures on a loop that you would never inflict on a person you love. I did not give you that voice. Somewhere along the way, you picked it up, perhaps, from someone who once spoke to you that way, perhaps simply from a world that rewards harsh self-criticism as though it were discipline. Tonight, practice a gentler voice, even if it feels unfamiliar at first. Speak to yourself the way I speak to you, honestly, but with tenderness. You are allowed to hold yourself accountable without tearing yourself apart in the process. Number. Now let me speak to the courage it has taken simply to keep going. I want to acknowledge something before we close. It has taken real courage for you to keep showing up, day after day, even in a season that has not been easy. You may not think of yourself as courageous. Courage, in your mind, might look like something dramatic, some grand act of bravery you have not performed. But courage also looks like getting out of bed on a morning when everything in you wanted to stay under the covers. It looks like showing up to a hard conversation you would rather avoid. It looks like continuing to hope, quietly, even after disappointment has visited you more than once. My child, I see that quieter courage. I have seen it every day. Even the days you felt like you were simply surviving rather than thriving. Surviving faithfully is its own kind of strength, and I do not overlook it. Number. Now, let me speak to what happens after tonight. Tomorrow will bring its own demands. The quiet of this river will fade into the noise of ordinary life again, and it would be easy to let this moment become just a memory, filed away and forgotten by the time the week gets busy. My child, I do not want tonight to be only a momentary comfort that fades by morning. I want it to become a place you can return to, even in your mind, whenever the noise becomes too loud again. You do not need an actual river to come back to this presence. You can close your eyes in the middle of a stressful afternoon, take one slow breath, and remember that the same steadiness that met you here tonight is available to you there too. This is not a single visit. This is an ongoing relationship available to you in every ordinary moment that follows this one. Number, a final blessing before you rise. Go now, my child, carrying a little more peace than you arrived with. Go gently with yourself in the days ahead, extending the same patience to your own heart that you so easily extend to others. Go without the full weight you brought here tonight, having left some of it, at least for now, in my hands beside this water. Go knowing that whatever tomorrow holds, whatever the next difficult conversation, the next uncertain diagnosis, the next tight month financially, the next lonely evening, you will not face it without me. The river will still be here whenever you need to return, even if only in memory, even if only in a single deep breath taken in the middle of an ordinary day. You have carried enough for today. Now, let me carry you. One more thing. Before you rise from the riverbank, the water is still moving. Even now, even as this night draws toward its close. It does not pause to ask whether it has done enough today. It simply continues, faithfully, toward the place it is meant to go. My child, you do not have to have everything resolved before you leave this place tonight. You do not have to walk away with every fear answered, every question settled, every wound fully closed. You are allowed to walk away simply lighter than you arrived. That is enough for tonight. Carry this truth with you into tomorrow. You are loved beyond what you have done and beyond what you have failed to do. You are held even in the seasons that feel unheld. You are seen even in the rooms where you have felt invisible. When the noise of your ordinary life returns, when the bills and the conversations and the responsibilities rush back in, remember this quiet water. Remember that beneath all of it, underneath every worry, there is a steadiness that does not depend on your circumstances. That steadiness is me. I am not only here at the river, I go with you from this place into every ordinary moment of your life, into the kitchen in the morning, into the traffic on your commute, into the meeting that makes you anxious, into the phone call you are dreading, into the quiet after everyone else has gone to sleep. You have carried enough for today. Now let me carry you. Rest, my child. Rest beside the river, even in your memory of it. Whenever the world becomes too loud again, I will still be here. I have never once left, and I never will.